Hello and welcome to the Raw Makers podcast, the one-stop shop for courage, confidence, and mindset building. Also bringing you all the aspects of mental health awareness, business, and entrepreneurship. We are your hosts, Adam Ellis and Jason Borman of the Raw Makers Coaching. Well, tonight, guys, we're going to be learning a little bit more about the Raw Makers and one member of the Raw Makers team, which is Adam Ellis, in particular. So I'm going to be interviewing Adam a little bit more about his story, his background, and little challenges that he's had along the way. And we're going to be really diving deep with Adam tonight and finding out lots and lots of valuable stuff about him. So without further ado, let's bring him on. My co-host, my co-CEO.
Hello!
And in true Adam fashion, he comes on with a bang. Right. Anyway, so Adam.
That is my name.
So September, we started this podcast and we did like a couple of episodes that were just about us and we interviewed one another. So I thought that, this is a nice stopgap. Let's do this again this week and next week. So obviously next week's I'm going to be interviewed by Adam, just to give you a heads up on that. And we'll get back to getting guests on after that. And yeah, so September we started the podcast. What's changed since then? Where are you now on your sort of journey? Well, the benefit of our listeners and viewers, because obviously I know, but within yourself as well, I want to hear like how you're feeling in yourself.
Well, since September, I was only, I would say, a newly qualified and accredited coach. Coming up towards now, I am nearly, not quite, nearly an NLP master practitioner.
Yeah.
Just got to do the second exam for that.
Yes, I love that.
I'm also certified in EI now with the one and only Lindsay Cap.
I love it.
If you're ever thinking about EI, I suggest you go and check out lindsaycapcoaching.com. Get yourself on the EI course.
So needed. So needed.
And in myself, I think that's it. So, yeah, they're the only two main changes. And in myself, I feel better. I feel more confident. I feel like I've got more courage, that what we symbolize. My mindset's changed quite a lot. Yeah. Still have the down days, but
it's part of being human.
It's not the day that you have, it's how you deal with it. That is the outcome.
Yeah. And that's the difference. We still have down days as coaches, but we don't wallow there for days and days and days. We know how to kind of get ourselves back to ourselves quicker than we would have if we hadn't studied what we've studied. And yeah, that's it. But it doesn't stop us being human first and foremost and having bad days and I wouldn't even call them bad days. It's more like days where you just don't feel like 100% you know what I mean, or aligned with what you believe in, and things just feel kind of almost like you got the Hoover on the wrong settings, and it's you change floors, and it starts to friction, and it doesn't run as smoothly as it would if you had it on the right setting. So that's how I visualize that. Yeah.
That's a great analogy.
So tell us a little bit more about the EI course that you went on, because I too have done that, and it's an amazing course. So I just want to find out what you thought about it. I'm sure Lindsay would do an interview with you at some point, so it's good to kind of practice what you could say, and about it.
I mean, at first, before I went on the course, I was a bit iffy and jiffy about it. But obviously, then I saw you do it, and I commented on your post, and then of course got on the call with Lindsay, and of course I was like, "Yep, I'm doing it now." I'm not going to say what she said because that's a bit of a tease. I am a tease. But before the course, I was a bit, eh. After the course, I'm like, fuck yeah.
So courses in general, how much like do you feel that investing in yourself and putting the time into learning something new has helped you?
I mean, I would say there's a lot of courses out there, and a lot of courses are just complete bollocks. You pay a lot of money to get fuck all from. But with VI, it is, I would say, one of the best courses, if not the best course you could do. And it doesn't cost a lot. I mean, it is quite a bit, but it's not as much as you would think. I don't know what the prices are, but they're around £500 to £600 or £650 for 8 weeks. But in them 8 weeks, you learn a hell of a lot about yourself, stuff
Yeah,
you didn't know.
I'm not sure whether she's put her prices up a little bit, but yeah, because she's VAT registered now and things like that. So yeah. And she's quality, so she can afford to charge way more for that course than she was charged.
But you learn a hell of a lot more about yourself than you would have ever known if you didn't take it. But not only that, you meet some fantastic people along the way because you're all on the journey together. You're all start at the same level, you finish at the same level. People have the different ways of interpreting it. Some might gain more from it, some might not gain as much, but
Yeah.
that's just up to our needs, really. It depends on the person. But you start as strangers and you finish as friends because you're on the journey together.
And it is a really close knit group, isn't it, when you go on a course like that, because everyone's sort of diving deep and going to real kind of like it's like you under the microscope, and it's like, but it's needed to be able to, you got to put yourself in darkness in order to come out into the light. And yeah, all needs kind of going through, and it's so helpful that other people are going through it as well, and you're not doing it alone, and that's a really good part of the course, I think, and one
I
that
will say this though, before I did the course, I was lost. I didn't really know myself. And after the course, it's like you're a different person. You're still the same person, but you're a different person because
yeah.
you know more about yourself and how to turn the dials down and up on your empathy, your self-regard, your self-awareness, your stress levels, all these. You've got 15 areas. There's 15 areas of your life that most people don't know anything about.
Yeah, so for the benefit of viewers and listeners who might not know what we're talking about now, so EI is emotional intelligence, and we went on a course that taught us how to balance our 15 areas. So things like empathy, self-regard, independence, all these are different headings within your emotional intelligence. And you can be too high in them or too low, and or balanced, which is what we're after. We were after a balance of between 90 and 110 on something called an MS or MHS model of emotional intelligence, which is like a report. It's an American-based report that tests you in the highest category of professionals. So if you can get like a really good score within that, I somehow achieved like 100 for mine for my final report, I was 100. So, and that she said that was really hard to do. So I'm like, whoa, must have done. But I was just working on me. I didn't really go out to kind of, I didn't know what I needed to do to get 100. It just, that's what it came back as. And I just felt so kind of good after the course. It was like I was on a different cloud, if you know what I mean. It was kind of like, yeah, I had more awareness. I was very attuned to me and how I was feeling. I was able to notice things really quick. I took action towards kind of preventing me, things like hunger drives my anger, drives my stress, drives my. So it's just having that awareness around what is causing you to act in a negative way. I'd be touchy with family members. I'd be, and it was because I was hungry, and hungry kind of turns to hangry for me. So I need to keep that in check in order to kind of have and be myself at all times, you know what I mean, and not let the hangry monster come out. So things like that, and you just learn so much about yourself, and things that have been playing out for years, come to the surface, and we look at them, and it's so amazing to be able to do that and realize that that's because my impulse control is really low, or that's because my self-regard is really low, or I'm too much over the top, like with expression and stuff like that. So I need to turn that down a little bit, and people might warm to me more, or things like that. Or I need to bring it all up, because I'm too low in everything. I'm not very emotionally kind of there at all. So I need to kind of bring a lot of things up to a balance. So I'm gaining out of situations as opposed to just giving everything away. It's communications are like mutually beneficial once you've learned once you've learned EI. Because yeah, you're getting lots and lots from it. So yeah, so if there was one specific thing that you feel like it's changed within you, because I mentioned, you mentioned you felt different afterwards. So if you could put your finger on, what's made the biggest shift maybe, or what specifically you feel like you, because I've noticed a difference in you, but I can't really put a finger on it, but maybe you haven't read your report and stuff like that, you might be able to kind of say what's happened and where you've come up and where you've gone down and what the shifts have been.
I could put a finger on it, I'd say self-regard.
So loving yourself more, or putting yourself on the list of importance.
Yep.
Rather than, low self-regard is, you're the last thing that you think about. You put everyone's needs before yours, and it's usually paired with a really high empathy.
Yep.
For other people.
Which mine was.
And like quite low independence and stuff like that. Because yeah, it's kind of like you're people pleasing in a way. And things like that. And it's kind of, so it's really powerful to learn that, so that you can, so I can imagine that is a big shift. It was a big shift for me as well, like putting myself on the list of importance. Like I did that to some extent, with my close family and stuff like that, but not as much as I probably should have or could have. And so bringing that up now, I set boundaries. I give myself my me time, and I allow my cup to refill before I can then give it to other people. Whereas before I was just like, have it all, have all my energy, like, have all my time, have all my, resources, and I'll just be kind of spent in every area, like, and struggling. And then I would get, moody and aggravated, and, but it's no wonder because I wasn't coming from a full place. So if this is kind of resonating with any of you, then I'd love to kind of hear your comments and your thoughts on it. So just leave a couple of comments on the video or on YouTube, or reach out to us on Facebook and just have a further discussion with us about it. We'd love to hear your thoughts. But so moving on from kind of emotional intelligence, NLP.
NLP.
So NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. Adam's now done a course to train to be master NLP practitioner, and you're very nearly there with completing that. Just a few weeks to go, and I'm really excited to finally call Adam an NLP master, because then it kind of really makes us a solid foundation for coaching. And we've got two powerhouses ready to serve. And I'm really excited for what the future's going to bring. NLP is another thing that I feel everyone would benefit from learning. Even if you don't coach anybody with it, just for your own, sorting out your own traumas and your own kind of being coached on using NLP. I feel is really, you can pick up some really good tools. And doing a course with other people learning it means they need to practice, which means they need people like you. You're maybe not doing it for coaching reasons, but you might just want to learn how to, understand what's going on in the mind and what's going on within the body, and that there is this linked system, and that we have like different techniques and skills that you can use for everyday life, like building confidence, maintaining any emotional state that you want to kind of keep hold of. So tell us a little bit about your NLP journey, because I've not really spoke to you about this, so I'm intrigued as well. Like, how's it been for you, and what have you noticed within yourself changed since before, not really knowing about NLP to now? What's changed for you?
There's been big changes. I mean, it's not been an easy road.
Cool.
So obviously you've got to, also with the training, you've got techniques to practice, and obviously some of the techniques are quite hard to grasp your head around at the beginning, but obviously the more you do it, it's like second nature. So NLP techniques is like driving a car. The first time you do it, you're like, what the but then the more you do it, the easier it gets, because you know the techniques and you know which step goes where. So the journey it's been a great journey. It's definitely improved my confidence a hell of a lot.
Yeah, I can see. I think that's what it is, like there's a inner confidence coming out now. You know what I mean? Having done both emotional intelligence and NLP, I look pretty much alongside one another as well. Let's add, like, that must have been a heck of a, when those two were going on together, that must have been a heck of an 8-week transformation for you.
Oh yeah, because then on the Tuesday you got your EI, then the Wednesday you got your workshop, and it's like, woo!
Yeah, so it's kind of, your mind went for a transformation, right?
But the best thing about NLP for me is, obviously, you coach the people on the NLP. So whoever's doing the workshops at the time, you coach them. But you never know what story they're going to bring. So you don't always work with the same person every week. You work with different people, and you never know what they're going to bring. So trying, because there
But
was one, I'll call them clients because that's what they are. There was one client where I was doing, what technique was I doing? Oh, I can't remember now.
so while you think of that, I'm just going to fill in. So we we did our NLP course through the Coaching Masters. You know, they're an up and coming sort of, like, they're going to be a huge powerhouse in the world of coaching courses and things like that. They already are in our eyes, obviously, but there are probably bigger schools out there, but there's not better schools out there, in my opinion. Like, you know, these guys are like top notch.
I think I was doing the timeline, not the timeline 2.0, not that one, but in
Okay.
practitioner, you have a timeline one.
Yeah.
And I had one client, I won't name names, but I had one client who had this story. But when I was trying to do the technique, I knew it weren't fitting with what she was saying. Because every time I was asking her questions for the technique, she kept going off on a tangent.
Mm-hmm.
So I was getting nowhere. Because she couldn't put dates on anything, she couldn't do this, couldn't do that. I was like, well, this technique ain't working. I know you're supposed to learn that technique on that thing, but I made a judgment call to say, well, this technique ain't working. So then, instead of learning that technique, I switched it to a coaching session. And we just had a coaching session, which worked better because I was getting somewhere, but at the same time, I weren't getting anywhere because she kept going off on a tangent every time I asked a question. So I was like, well, this
So
ain't going anywhere.
the fun clients that
The fun client.
get.
So I was like, well, this ain't getting anywhere. So you keep talking, I'll keep quiet. And that's what we did. Because no matter what question I asked, she was always off on a tangent about this, that, or the other. And I'm like, well, it doesn't really help me because you're not really answering my questions specifically. You're just going off in your own little bubble. So when you've done coaching, and if it's our listeners and viewers out there who are just starting coaching or are coaches or thinking about coaching, there's certain technique when you get into it, you will know which technique to use with the client. So they could bring you a stuff because you should never. I say you shouldn't, but you should never really plan out your session with I'm going to use this technique, and this technique, because every client is different and you never know what story they're going to bring. So there's no point in, like, today we're going to do timeline 2.0, we're going to do advanced anchoring, and we're going to do goal setting. That's the plan for today.
I mean, you could do that, but it's not going to be as powerful as, you know, listening to your client in the moment and serving them with what they need right in that moment. You know, they can always bring stuff from memory or stuff they might not have worked on or processed, you know, but you're never going to really serve them in that moment unless you're kind of listening and taking on board what they're, you know, wanting to bring in that moment. So
But that's the thing, because you never know what story they're going to give. So you can't really designate a technique for that client if you don't know what they're going to bring.
mhm.
So if you're new to coaching, I mean, I thought, you know what, I'm going to plan all my sessions out. We're going to do this, do this. It's a lot of bullshit. It doesn't work. Tried it once, didn't work. So when you get into coaching a few more, you get to know your client. You get to know their story. And then you get to know what technique will serve them at that time. So there could be someone with a trauma in the past, but when you're asking questions, this trauma in the past keeps coming up. So then you could use, right, we could do a timeline technique, go back in the past to see what happened at that specific date, time, place, who was involved. And then we can bring them back to the present and see how it's changed, going to the future, do your advanced timeline, timeline 2.0.
Mhm.
But you can never really judge the story. Because one week they could bring you this trauma, and next week it could be a completely different story. Just like, well, that timeline ain't going to work for that. Let's do anchoring. Maybe they want to feel, when they're going into a job interview, they want to feel that confidence that they had when they was 12, maybe 15. So you can either do the circle of excellence, or you can do an anchor where you can just trigger at any time. Either pressing the rear, beating the chest, pinching the finger. No matter what the anchor is, they can bring it in that moment.
So yeah, for our listeners and viewers, an anchor is something you set, like using body parts, and it links to an emotion or feeling or memory or something that you feel would be useful, to bring up as and when you need it. You can set an anchor for it. So it could be, yeah, like Adam said, pinching the earlobe or clenching fingers. And yeah.
There is if you want to know what an anchor looks like, if you have Netflix, go on Netflix and watch Tony Robbins. What was it called now? I can't remember.
I'm Not Your Guru.
I Am Not Your Guru. If you watch I Am Not Your Guru by Tony Robbins on Netflix, before he goes out on stage, watch what he does. That is an anchor. He will do maybe 5-10 jumps on the trampoline. That's to psych him up. He'll walk up some steps. Before he goes out on the curtain, watch what he does to his chest. He beats his chest.
And he does that spin thing as well. And that's like, that's a great way to exit the circle of excellence.
That is an anchor. He's bringing back the emotions, that feeling that he felt the first time he went on stage. And you can trigger it any time. Because you don't want, with anchoring, you don't want to do what I call a stupid anchor. You don't want to do it where you're going to look silly in public. You want to do it where you can do it discreetly. So, like, pinching the ear, you could just be like rubbing in a little pinch. Or you could like, say you're moving your arm, you can pinch your fingers. Something that doesn't look silly in public.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's really valuable. Like, what you just shared there is, 3 or 4 techniques within an NLP program that actually are very, very powerful. And if you have any one of them, techniques done on you, like it bring big shifts, that's for sure, to your life. So thank you for that. So on a personal level then, how do you think it's sort of changed your mindset? So can you remember what it was like to think and feel before learning NLP?
No.
So it has like rewired your brain, really, hasn't it? And
Yeah, it's changed the mindset in a good way, because I think before NLP, I don't actually know. I mean, probably could do a timeline to see how it was, but won't bring anything up. So I think before NLP, it was like one of them mindsets like, do I have to do that? Oh, fuck it, I'll do it later. That was me. Okay, you do this. I'll do it in a bit. I'll do it later. I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, I know I said I'll do it tomorrow. It's tomorrow, but I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it. Just fuck off. That was me pretty much. But after doing coaching and NLP, and it's definitely rewired my mindset.
yeah.
And just going back on the techniques, there was one technique I had done to me, which if you're on an NLP program, it's week 20. It's called dissecting the memory. Now that technique is a powerful technique because you got two versions of that. You got the dissecting memory, then you got dissecting emotions. Which I've not done the emotions one. I just did the memory because that was enough.
Yeah. Yeah, the emotions one is if you know that has little effect on you, the first technique, then you can go in and just separate the emotions, and you're sending them off in different directions and breaking up the memory. And, obviously, it's for uncomfortable memories, so we are asking people to think about them like once again, for one last time, basically, and separating it out so that you kind of detach from the emotions and feelings from doing that first part anyway. But if it's a strong memory, like, when this works for things like abuse and things like that, so that's what you would use for that. Really strong memories that you want to kind of detach from, you don't want to kind of feel responsible, you don't really. So things like, I mean, if you're involved in a car crash that's really traumatic, or just an event that, if you plucked, different elements of it and took it apart, it would lose its weight and lose its meaning, and kind of detach from the event itself. Though you don't, you won't forget it completely, but it just becomes something that happened rather than, having a bearing on your life any longer. And yeah, so in that way, it kind of brings you peace, which is nice. And I've done that technique quite a lot with different people, and experiencing some horrible situations in their life. So as the coach, you don't need content to be able to do that technique. So I don't need to know the ins and outs, as long as you can see and do the technique. Like, I wouldn't need to kind of, so we don't get to hear like the ins and outs of different situations, like a lot of the time, because people don't want to express it. But at the end of the day, it's not needed to be able to make the technique successful, as long as that person can see and like pull things apart and kind of get the information, then that's all we need. And it's a really, really powerful. So again, another bit of value, like, without kind of telling everyone, like, all about the NLP techniques and stuff, sort of, because that's like quite a, takes quite a lot of to get your head around some of those techniques. And there's a certain principles that NLP kind of governs itself on, or kind of sort of like your moral compass when you're learning NLP. So which one of them kind of presuppositions kind of stood out for you as either shocking or relating?
Well, I would say that the one that really stood out was the map is not your territory.
Mm-hmm.
That's because
just explain what that means to you for us, so that our listeners and viewers can sort of understand.
So when we talk about our map or my map, it's your perspective on what you see.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, everyone has a perspective of the world. We're not. So before I did NLP, I always used to say, well, that's wrong. You're wrong. No, it's this. No, that's not it. You're wrong. It's this. I was dead adamant to say, you're fucking wrong. It's this. I know. But
that's the ego.
So learning NLP and learning about the map is not your territory. It is a big eye opener, because I can just say something that you might not agree with, but that's my map. That's the way I see it. That's the way I hear it. That's the way I feel it. You might have a different view. So I'm not wrong and I'm not right, and you're not wrong and you're not right. You're right to yourself and I'm right for myself. It's my map.
Mhm.
That's the way I perceive it. And that's what it means to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, like the terrain, so the world that we live in is the territory, and I've got a different view or map than Adam, and we're both trying to navigate the same world, but with very different instructions. So it's kind of, yeah. So being able to adopt, okay, Adam's got a good point there. What if the cliff, is that way, or what if there is a slope here? Like, am I just gonna like keep walking straight forward and then I might plummet and fall down on my face? Like, and Adam might have been right. So in order to have wisdom, we need to be able to take on other people's perspectives and see them as, possible rather than no, that's wrong. Because it contradicts my map and my map is right. So so if everyone learned NLP, that would mean there would be very few conflicts in the world. Because everyone would have that understanding that the map is not the territory. So what you're thinking and feeling is just your opinion. It's a strongly held opinion. It's a belief. Okay, so our beliefs are strongly held opinions, but they can be broken and they can be, changed. But yeah, so that was really, so I've noticed like a massive difference in you, so like since learning those two very powerful things. I can't imagine, I didn't do them at the same time. So that's like must have been amazing to kind of you had all your kind of things done at once, and yeah, that must have been a hell of a transformation. Um,
I weren't planning on doing all my coaching in one sitting. I was like, well, I'll do coaching first. Maybe give it a year or so, I'll do NLP. And maybe give it a few months after that, I'll probably do EI. But no, I was like straight into the accreditation. Right, I've done that, straight into the NLP. As well as the NLP, straight into EI.
yeah, which has made you a phenomenal coach in a short amount of time. Like you've definitely got all the learning there that makes you a really good coach. Yeah, and you kind of rocket ship your kind of your growth sort of thing. So how does that feel for you?
It's still going up. I've not pivoted yet. It's still going up.
It still will be like it's always going up, but you put the fire in that's made it quite a trajectory. You know what I mean? It's
And to me,
I've been doing coaching like a year longer than you, so it's kind of pretty much now done most of the training that I've done, and you're there with the coaching for sure. Like, and like, yeah, like, so what's sort of next for you? Where are you going to take these skills, and what are you going to like go and do with them?
oh, that's a good question. I'll definitely take the skills and the knowledge to help the people that need the help. And again, that word need gets chucked around a lot. But there are people out there in need of help. They're the ones I'm looking for. Now, if along the way, some other people or other men or females come up to me and say, oh, can you just help me with this, this, and this? I'm not going to turn them down. I'm like, yeah, I'll help you. but the people I'm interested in are the people in need.
Mhm.
So I'll narrow it down even more because that's a broad spectrum. So my aim is to try and get the male suicide rate down
Yeah.
because it's a very high number. But again,
And that's
there's
obviously
the
close
one-
to my heart because, I tried to, I had suicidal thoughts at one point, and like my mental health was really shot. And yeah, before I found coaching, I was kind of in a place where I was like, what's the point? Um, so hearing you say that is it's a mission I want to be part of. Yeah, for sure. And how are we going to do that? It's by just being that figure, being those figures ready and waiting for someone to reach out. And obviously doing a lot of the legwork ourselves, asking if people are really okay, and not just taking that first answer as, the truth. Because, anyone can say they're, yeah, I'm fine, but I'm not. And you need to be able to see that as coaches, and we will.
now I know I'm not going to be able to save everyone. I'm not Superman. I'm not invincible. I'm only human. I can only do as much as I can do. But if I can get them figures half, or if I can just save one male in every 5 suicides, then that's good enough for me. Because I've saved someone from killing themselves. So yeah, I don't like people killing themselves. I always think I could have helped him, I could have done more. But again, I'm not Superman. I'm only one person. If I can save one man in every 5 men who kill themselves, then that's a big change.
So true. And we can't beat ourselves up for not helping everyone, right? Because that's just an impossible task for just two people. Like, what we can do is create an awareness. We can teach signs in other people. We can teach these skills to other people, and so that more people are searching for that sort of thing as well. And even if I just help one person not kill themselves, like that's the number that would have been on the statistics if I didn't help them. So that to me is enough. But obviously, the dream is to kind of really get that number down because it is shocking. You know, that number is one of the highest, brackets, 25 to 40 years old males are the highest. So I want to kind of promote male vulnerability. It's okay to cry, guys. It's okay to need help. It's okay to express emotion. It's just feelings. Like, how isn't you being less human more manly?
There is one thing I'd like to say though. If you've not in our group of our community on Facebook, the Courage and Confidence Community Hub with Jason and Adam, then get yourself in there because there's a lot of value and a lot of supportive people in there who can help. But if you're not in that group, every Sunday, unless we're taking a break, we do a live. And on one of them lives, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I wanted to start a trend. Some people did, but I want to carry it on. So every listener and viewer that is listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, if you have Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, I want you to hashtag male vulnerability and hashtag it's okay not to be okay. Let's spread the message worldwide. Let's get this trend going.
Yeah,
Let's get every
absolutely.
man out there to know it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to have feelings. It's okay to have emotions.
It's okay to talk about it as well. I know there's this big stigma around I can't air my dirty laundry or I can't share what's going on inside, but that is absolute bullshit.
And on the bullshit things, there's one thing I cannot stand. One saying. There's
Man up.
two words. One saying I cannot fucking stand, and that is man up. Man up what? What is a fucking man up? A man up the fucking roof? A man up the ladder? A man up your ass crack? What is a man up?
No, that's it. And it's derogatory to women as well. Like, yeah, when I hear women using it as well, it's like,
But you never see anyone go to a woman and say, woman up.
no. But it's the whole stigma, isn't it? You know, females that have a problem with sharing their emotions and feelings with one another. Some do, but you know, majority as a kind of, you know, as a gender, they're pretty open people. If you know what I mean. And it's not all males as well. Like, you know, we've obviously found a place where we can air our dirty laundry and we feel comfortable kind of, you know, sharing stuff. It's okay. Like, you know, it's a necessary part of the process of healing. You know, how can you expect to heal if you're keeping it all inside, guys? So you don't have to talk to your friends if you don't want to at first. Like, they're probably the hardest people. But come and find a stranger. Come and find someone who don't know you, won't judge you, and talk about what's going on for you before you go and, you know, end your life and do, you know, or bottle it up so much or run away or, you know, neglect your, you know, responsibilities or, you know, whatever it is that's going on for you, you know, talk about it because it does help. That's one of the things we get trained on as coaches is just to listen if people want to talk. That is one of the best services we offer, just a listening ear. Because in the world of, you know, everyone's trying to battle for communication and, you know, to be the one that's heard. So you can't underestimate the value of being heard for an hour, 30 minutes, however long you want to talk for. But come and find a coach, come and find a counselor, come and find a, you know, someone who's trained to kind of listen. Because we're here. So come and find us.
Too right.
Yeah, so that's obviously a very powerful kind of mission. So well done for that. And I'm fully with you and all your mental health awareness sort of concepts that you brought to me and kind of, and yeah, I'm fully supportive of quite a lot of them. And yeah, we'll definitely do a lot of that. That's pretty much it, I think. Like, thank you so much for kind of being so open. I know, like that, and let's just go back and sort of. So, when did you start the sort of NLP course?
Fucking now you got me thinking. Uh,
It was about 6 months ago if you nearly finished. So that would have been, you know, July, August.
I think it was
September. No.
I think it was the back end of August coming into September.
Yeah, so round about when we started this podcast, Adam set out on his NLP journey. He's just accredited as a coach, and yeah, well done for that journey. Like, because you've shot up, you're like, wow. And it's created a way of being for you that you're there to serve now, and serve powerfully you will, like, for sure, with those skills and those understandings. And yeah, come and get coached by Adam because he's amazing. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm really proud of you, and don't mean that in a sort of thing, but yeah, I'm proud of how you've shot up and rose to the occasion, and yeah, leveled up. And we're going. So yeah, that's been us, guys, and it's been really great to hear a bit more of Adam's story. And since we last got sort of told a bit about our stories and stuff, and this is a bit more recent history tonight, and how Adam's sort of come into his power, and I want to, yeah. So we're gonna now take that power on, and we're gonna help and influence and save many people.
Just like the once Bruce Almighty said, I got the power.
I love it. Right. Without further ado, then let's draw on that courage.
Build up that confidence.
Let's get back our roars. Thanks, guys. Take it easy. Thank you, Adam.